Omar. Hey, congratulations on your feature film, African Giants.
Thank you, Gig. I really appreciate it. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you too. And more of a congratulations is being showcased at this upcoming Slamdance Film Festival, one of the most prestigious film festivals in the world. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Thank you. Thank you. I can say with all honesty, I am absolutely thrilled. I'm over the moon. I think for me, it was always, when you make something, you hope that there's an audience of people who like it and respond to it. And Slamdance was a film festival, like, Bong Joon-ho premiered his first feature there. Like, it's a festival I always wanted to premiere at. And so I remember when I got the call, I can tell you honestly that when they told me I got in, I literally just started crying because I was like, man, I dreamed about getting it. I didn't know it actually was going to happen. So I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon right now.
Yeah, well, I can't wait till the audiences at Park City actually have a chance to watch that. But first and foremost, tell us the what originated this story for African Giants for yourself.
Yeah, well, I think so. I have a younger brother myself, and I think luckily I've been lucky that all the work I've done so far has been stuff that's autobiographical. Like it's either things that happened in my life that I'm trying to figure out, or something that a conversation that I really want to flesh out. And the seed for this all started with my mom. When I was young, my mom said, "Be careful how you behave. Your little brother's watching you. You're his hero." And I remember like being 9 and hearing this and feeling a lot of pressure. Like I was like, I'm trying to figure myself out. And the idea that like I have to live in a certain way because my little brother's watching me is crazy. And the climax of the film is, one of the brothers is intoxicated at a party and he's kind of embarrassing himself and starting over his words. And the little brother takes him and brings him into the bedroom and takes care of him as he's scared throughout the night. And I wish I could tell you that was not based off a true story, but it 100% is based off a true story. And my brother took care of me, and he sat with me at a moment when I was very scared. And I think at that moment, I realized that even though I was supposed to be the bigger brother and the inspiration, the hero, my little brother could be a hero and inspiration and take care of me. So that was kind of the seed of what the idea was, trying to explore that moment. And then I took all these wonderful conversations I had with my brother. And, most of the conversations in the film are real conversations that we had. About like 95% of it is real conversation that we had, not all over the course of the weekend, but stuff that we had. And I've been saving over time. And I'm a big notes taker. So like when I'm sometimes as very annoying to my families, I'll talk to them. And as I'm talking to them, I'm like, that's a really beautiful, powerful thing you said. And I'll write it in my notes document. And they're like, can you be present? But then I end up taking that stuff and putting it into the film. So a lot of those are real conversations my brother and I had. And so combining that with the seed of that idea is what really was the backbone of the film.
So the two character brothers in the film really represents you and your little brother. I mean, how close was that to that? Obviously, the big brother who's an actor is probably very representative of you because you're the filmmaker here.
Yes, correct. And that actually was what it was. I didn't want to make a movie about a director. Something about it just seems too close for me. So I decided to change him to be an actor instead of being a director. But it's funny, my full name is Elijah Umaru. So his name in the film is Elijah. That's because he is a version of me. And then my younger brother is 3 years younger than me. And he just graduated. He didn't go to law school, but he graduated. He got his master's in journalism. And I had been feeling little seeds that he wanted to be a filmmaker. And what's funny enough, and I wrote this movie in 2021. My little brother, as of 2023, has officially moved to LA and is also actually making a short film right now. So it kind of was prophetic in that sense that I kind of felt it happening. But yeah, it's me and my brother are very close. He's literally like one of my best friends. We spent all our time together. He's here. He's at my house every weekend. So it was definitely based off our relationship and the good and the bad. And I think I just wanted to tell the truth about it and be authentic.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I love the character development between it's sort of like the brotherly love, looking after each other, looking at each other, and all that kind of stuff. And that's what African Giants is really all about, which is terrific.
Thank
Now,
you.
now also one of the things I also found this story is actually fascinating. It's also a story about, expectations and of from from where you used to be and as an immigrant story. But first of all, tell me about you know, the immigrant story. Are you an immigrant yourself?
Yeah, well, my parents are both from Sierra Leone in West Africa, and so
Okay.
they moved here in 19 like late 80s. I think it was like 1989, 1987, and so all me and my siblings were born here.
Hmm.
But I used to always joke with people and say that I was living a double life because my house is a my the house I grew up in is a very African household, like African traditions, African food, African lifestyle, and then I would go to school and be like this American version of myself. So yeah, my parents both from Sierra Leone. That definitely was placed on us, and because of that, I had certain pressures placed on me that are not unique to a lot of like immigrant families and a lot of ideas of what we should do when we get here. And even like a lot of the stuff, particularly with the father, in terms of them talking about the father, is based off me and my dad. That the quote when he said he told his dad he wanted to be a filmmaker, and his dad said he'll never talk to him again, really happened to me. And luckily, me and my dad have made up now, which is funny. He's actually now like the biggest fan of my filmmaking career. But at the time, we didn't speak a word to each other for 6 months after we had that fight. And so it's all just pulling on real experiences, and that's why I wanted to make the film, because I do think the first generation experience is a thing unto itself of being American, but also having parents from Sierra Leone, and so I wanted to speak about that honestly.
So tell me what is the American dream between you as a first generation and between your parents as from someone from Sierra Leone?
Well, that's a great question because that has been the biggest struggle of my life. And so when my dad came to the U.S., his idea was that he read an article about an Indian man who had 4 kids, and all 4 of his kids were doctors. And my dad was like super inspired by that. So he's like, I'm going to come here. He's a landscaper. He works with his hands. And he was like, the whole idea is that this next generation is going to get educated and get their doctorate and become doctors, and we'll change generational wealth in that idea. So unfortunately, that was not the idea I had for myself. And my older sister, who is a surgeon, already had been working towards the plan. So my dad was like, everything's going great. And then here I come as number 2. And I said I want to be a filmmaker. And that's why he was absolutely devastated and absolutely crushed. So I think the difference is when in talking with my dad afterwards, one of the things I learned is he said that he was operating from a place of fear, in the sense that being a filmmaker is not guaranteed. Being a filmmaker is a very arduous path. And to him, being a doctor was a certain way to get respect, to get money, and to make sure that no matter what happens, you'll always be able to provide for yourself. But my version of the American dream was that if you're here, you have the benefit, I would even say, the privilege of being able to pursue these other things that you want to pursue. Like, I know for a fact that my dad from his village in Fatagu couldn't have pursued filmmaking. Like, it wasn't like an option to them. And so for me, I thought I really want to pursue what makes me happy, what I'm passionate about. And that was a big source of familial tension, but we've made up and we've moved on. But it was definitely a butting of heads because we just had different philosophies.
And of course, a lot of mentions were about, your heritage and looking up to each other. And you're in reality, your father is mentioned, but not making like a physical presence in the film. And that was purposeful, right?
Yeah, I think it's so funny. When I got to AFI, I had somebody, the discipline head who picked me, and it's funny. I made a film about brothers to get in, and he said, you know, everyone has most filmmakers have one story they tell. He goes, I'll tell it in different versions, different things, but your story is the story of you and your father. And I'll never forget, he said it to me before I made African Giants, before I made Mass Ave. And he just realized that my big thing I'm processing, trying to figure out, is my relationship to my father. So in all my work, it is about my relationship with my dad and the pressures he put on me, but also the expectations, how much I love him, but also a lot of times growing up feared him. So that's very important to me. So I wanted to make a film that was contained, and to be honest, my dad also has never come to the West Coast, so he wouldn't be here on that trip anyways. But I wanted to make a film that was honest, but I almost feel like I can't speak about my experience without talking about the influence of my dad. So even though he's not in the film, I hope he's very present, like you said, and then at the end he does make a call where you hear his voice briefly, but he is he is coursing through everything I do. So it's very important to have him represented for the good stuff and the bad stuff in the film, because I think it's my story. It's the filmmaking story I'm telling.
It is definitely your story. And one last thing. Tell us about the hunt for the two actors, fine actors that have to represent nearly represent you and your brother in the film. I mean, how did you really want them to approach those characters?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the thing that I always wanted is like it's very important to me to have actors who, for me, are first generation African. And I know actors can be something else, and the whole point is that you can act. But to me, there's a certain nuance to the way we behave, how we live, the way we speak about our parents, that I think I would want the actors to be able to infuse into the film. And so both of my actors are first generation. Both of them are, the older brother Laji from Uganda, and the younger brother Omete is from Kenya. And I actually had met Omete through my casting director, Suzanne Yavuz, who did my short film, Mass Ave. And Omete starred in that short film, the younger brother. And on the set of that short film, he was applying to Juilliard. He got accepted into Juilliard, and actually came back and shot this in between his second and third year. And the funny story is, when I was doing my casting, I saw the older brother, and his tape was amazing. And I told him, I still tell him, he's like, I call him the Ugandan Marlon Brando. And I literally am watching this guy, and I think he's incredible. And I tell the casting director, and she goes, "Well, what's so funny? He actually goes to Juilliard too." And unbeknownst to me, he got into Juilliard and was assigned as Omete's little brother at Juilliard, so that he was like his mentor in that place. Now in the film, they flipped. So for me, that was very fortunate. They had a closeness, and we did rehearsals beforehand, where we kind of recreated. I don't like to do rehearsals that actually are about the script, but I stole this from lovingly from Farhadi, and I did rehearsals that were just about living life and like kind of recreating memories for them. And so, for example, we did one activity which was, when in the script they mentioned how the older brother broke up with his girlfriend at some point. Let's go back in time to that moment when your brother just broke up with his girlfriend. You come and spend time with him. And they lived out. I just let them go for like 15, 20 minutes, and they lived out this experience in the past and kind of created this history. So I like to say that some of the reason they had that closeness is, one, they know each other and were assigned, but then also we did these activities to kind of create a shared history that hopefully shows in the film.
Well, it certainly does. It certainly does. And just for fun, Omar, how was your hoops game
In real life or on 2K?
in real life? Oh, you're really good in 2K.
I'm in 2K. I'm amazing. I play 2K most of the time. I was playing it last night. I'm one of the best 2K players out. In real life, I used to be okay, but I haven't played now in like 5 years. So for pickup standards, I'm okay. I used to be like a B. Now I'm like a C average. But in 2K, I'm amazing. The hoops game in 2K is amazing.
Well, in the film, you look amazing too. So,
Thank you.
well,
I
Omar,
really appreciate it.
thank you very much for speaking to us about African giants. I can't wait to speak to you on a future project down the road. But you know what? Have fun at Slamdance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gig. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Bye now.